Hey guys, thank you for joining us on yet another episode of In Gear. I'm Baloney Jones. That's Mariah Carey.
What?
We hope that both of you guys had such an amazing New Year. I know me and Justin both enjoyed it here in Oahu, celebrating with some good food, some good booze, some fireworks.
Crazy fireworks, right?
Oh my God, I know. Dude, I know. And I don't even have words to explain the fireworks, but I just have to say, if you guys get a chance to Google, Oahu, YouTube at Oahu fireworks celebration, that's all I can really do. I could sit here for a half hour trying to explain what we saw, but it's nothing compared to what you'll actually realize and feel in real life.
Oh, 100%. Like, everybody's seen their local hometown fireworks display.
Oh, that ain't shit.
But
That ain't
I haven't
shit.
seen any fireworks display that even comes close to touching this one.
I'd love to sit here and try to explain it. You can't.
No.
YouTube it. That's just a little morsel of what you'll actually get to experience. But, amazing, like I said, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Hey, listen, Justin and listeners, we're coming up on 50 followers on our subscribers. On our YouTube channel, which, is a very big accomplishment for me because I appreciate everybody that subscribes, follows, and all that good stuff. So I have to say, in true In Gear fashion, we decided to do a giveaway with some, In Gear merchandise.
Yeah, that's going to be really exciting.
I figured we'd give away maybe a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, some stickers, some pens, whatever the hell, matchbooks, where the fuck we decide to do. Well,
Yeah.
basically just a bunch of bullshit box full of all that shit, right? I think it'd be cool, right?
Oh, I agree. And you know what? Well, we got to hit 100 first. We got to hit 100.
We got to hit 100. So we'll start at 50. Once we hit that 50, we're going to drop it. Then once it hits 100, we're going to stop it. We'll have some rules and stuff like that on how you can enter in, how you can be a part of it. And I think it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, 100%. So look for that. And then, if you got any crazy suggestions on something you'd like to see us give away or something, you can hit us up at our old ingearpodcast@gmail.com.
A car.
Yeah, car giveaway for 50 subscribers. Actually, that reminds me, though, I want to go ahead and get this done a little bit earlier than we've been doing, and I want to get into the emails. So I'm just going to read us one that we got from a fabulous listener.
You said emails?
Yeah, emails.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah.
So check this out. Christy writes, "You guys disgust me. I don't know why anyone would listen to you."
Okay, well, I think I could go with that a lot of ways. I think I'd instantly say, fuck you.
Yeah, I guess a fuck you's in order for that one.
To say that
but
to me.
Thanks, Christy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sending us an email.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah, but if you want to write fantastic things like that, go ahead and hit us up at ingearpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, we can read it and disgrace
We'll definitely appreciate hearing lots of sound criticism like that.
Yes. So, Justin, I wanted to bring up to you the Bobcat story.
Ah, yes.
So,
did you say Bobcat?
Bobcat.
Oh,
yeah.
Like the animal or the implement?
Yeah, you're right. So, no, the Bobcat.
The animal?
Yes. I'm sorry. Yeah, the animal. Yes, Justin, the animal. I'm sorry, I had a little bit of whiskey. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I guess it's okay.
Is that okay with you that I drink a little bit of whiskey? Is that all right?
So what is this story? You tamed a bobcat or what?
No, I mean, close, but I'm not going to toot my own horn over here. So what happened was I had to be around 18 years old and I was fresh out of high school. My father had graciously allowed me to use his, I think it was like a 1997 Volvo 850 station wagon.
Oh, the old Vo.
Oh,
was it brown?
Red,
Please tell me it was
straight
brown.
5, 2.3 liter 5-cylinder. Actually, I think it was a 2.5 or 2.4. They had 3 different engine models. One of them was the turboed. One of them was not. Who even fucking knows? I don't know what it was, but it was a straight 5.
Well, we really don't need to get into the car here. We're here for the Bobcat.
We're here for the Bobcat. So here's what happened. I'm driving around this fucking Volvo. I'm doing my thing. That's fun. That's cool. Whatever. I wound up going over to my cousin's house who lived across the street. So me and my cousin are hanging out. And like I said, I was probably around 18 at this time. We smoke a bunch of weed. You know how it is being young, just being in the weed scene, just smoking all the drugs you can do, whatever. Cool.
Smoke.
So we're inside the house. I got the Volvo parked outside and I lived in a very small town. There's a lot of acreage around, very foresty, very homey, farmlandish.
Would you say
area.
Rural?
What?
Rural?
Rural is
rural.
Yeah.
Rural?
Yeah, I guess that rural. Yeah, rural. Exactly. I think that's kind of like the name that you'd use.
That word shouldn't exist.
Right. I hate it. So we're inside the house and we're smoking weed. And I'm like, yo, I got a bong in the car because I used to go work on the river and I was I worked at a river livery. It's like we lived on a river, so we would send people off on rafts and kayaks and tubes and stuff.
Okay.
So I worked there, and every morning I would take Highway 97 all the way down the Delaware River, probably around 20 minutes to my job. My job was dope. It was chill.
You said Delaware. I thought you lived in New York.
Yeah, it's the Delaware River. So it separates New York and Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
And I would always have this mini bong. It was probably around 8 inches tall. Little bowl. I'd always pack a bowl in this bong, 8 inches, something you can hold in your hand like this, right? Kind of like a beer bottle style, just like that. And you'd sit there and you'd fucking roast it. And it was just nice hitting a bong on the way to work. So I'd steer with my left knee and I'd fucking rip this bong.
Wow, what a piece of shit. Getting high and driving.
I'm bringing this bong. So I always kept this bong in my passenger side door card, little pocket thing.
Yeah.
So that was always in the Volvo. You always had a bong on me.
Oh, well, that's good.
Always had a bong on me. So I remember going to my cousin's house one night. We're all hanging out. We're smoking blunts and stuff like that. And I'm like, yo, I got a bong in the car. It's a small little bong. Let's fucking rip it. So me and my best friend, Charlie, at the time, or still my best friend,
Let me ask you before you go too further. On this bong, glass?
Correct. Glass.
A glass. Okay. And did you name your bong? I know I named my accoutrement.
No, I got to be honest with you, Justin. Like, I don't bash on people that name their bongs. But I've had so many different bongs in my life. That's a whole different situation for another, story for another day. Like, I've had so many glass pieces, to name them all would be exasperating for me. So I don't name my bong, but it was a tiny little, if I had to name it, I'd probably call it like Doopsy.
Oh.
Or Bloopsies.
See, I had an Ezekiel back in the day.
Oh, that's really cute.
Yeah.
Ezekiel. Oh, that's really adorable.
Little acrylic bong.
Huh?
Acrylic, like it's plastic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Water bong.
The only plastic bong I ever had was I had a gas mask set up. So I had a gas mask and the bong that was attached to the gas mask was plastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we're in the house. We're hanging out. I'm like, yo, I got this bong in the car. Let's go out there. Let's fucking hit this bong. So we walk out the front door to the house, and we're kind of like off the porch. And my Volvo is probably like 20 yards away. We walk out there, and I go to the driver's side door, I go to the passenger side door. I open up the passenger side door, and I reach in and I grab this bong out of the door card. I close the door, and I hear like a creak. I instantly think, because the Volvo creaks all the time, it's super old at the time. Like, oh, it's just a shock. Like kind of like when you lean into a car, you hear a creak.
Yeah, just a squeaky.
So I hear like a little noise or something like that. I'm like, oh, whatever. I literally didn't think about it.
Of course.
I turn around and start walking around the house, and then I hear like more shuffling in my car. I'm like, okay, what the fuck's going on? I hear shuffling. And then I hear like some rustling and some banging inside my car. And I get terrified instantly because I was just in that car. There was nothing in there. What the hell's going on? I run inside the house. I shut the door really quick. I run up to Charlie and I'm like, hey, Charlie, there's something in my car. I heard a shit ton of noises. I don't know what it is. What's going on? What's happening? So he's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? And we look out through they had these big glass pane windows that you could kind of look at the car. And we're looking at that. We don't really see anything. We don't really see any other cars, any humans. Cause it's very back in the woods type, no one else would be around there. He was like, well, let's go check it out. So we go to the butcher block fucking knife storage place thing. Uh-huh. We grab knives in our hands.
Good.
We walk out the front door. We get in his car, which was parked right outside the house. So we could, 5-step walk it right to the car. We drive all the way out, a loop around fucking driveway. We loop all the way around and we pull up to this car, the Volvo. He shines on his high beams. We have knives. And there, as clear as day, as this whole side of this Volvo is lit up, a Bobcat is crawling through my front seats into the back seats of my car. You could see the tufts of fur on its ears. It's meowing and growling. And at that moment, we're like just flabbergasted. Like, is this actually happening right now? Like, that's something you see at a Talladega Nights.
So, yeah, I was about to interrupt you and say that. So you basically got Ricky Bobby there. They threw a Bobcat in your... Were you driving this at some point with the Bobcat in the car?
I want to say no. And here's the weird thing, Justin, is I drove it there. Obviously, there was no Bobcat in there. But when I think the Bobcat got in there because I let my windows down halfway. All 4 windows, I put them down halfway.
Okay.
But I had like a shit ton of snacks and munchies and stuff in there.
Well, you think he tried to get in for the snacks?
Yeah, I think he probably smelled some of that stuff and got in there. And so we switch on the lights. We see this fucking Bobcat. So I'm like, well, what do we do? Like, we're in the safe in the sanctity of his own car, right? At the time. So we're just sitting here watching this Bobcat tear up the leather seats. Like right on those seams, he just slide his claws right through and the seats are getting torn up. So I'm like, well, I don't want this Bobcat in my car. I got to drive this fucking car home. So he pulls up real close. We get out, or I get out. I'm sorry. He stays in the car. I keep the door open. I run up with this knife in my hand, like a big butcher fucking knife thing.
Yeah.
I open up the door, I run back, and sure as shit, this Bobcat gets out of my car like nothing ever happened, walks away, and like sprints off into the woods. So after that, I went in and assessed the damage. The leather seats started getting torn. You can see claw marks everywhere. And I tried telling people this story, and they're like, no, that never happened. That never happened. Well, you know what? Fuck you. It did. And it was a funny, looking back on it now, funny, probably terrifying and hilarious situation. I don't know. Have you ever experienced anything close to that? Any sort of animals too close for comfort? Anything? I don't even know if you have. I know this is like a very vague question. I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, I guess I haven't
here.
experienced anything where like any animals were coming.
No
in.
small town, hometown, like because I was in a very small town and shit like that.
Well, I want to ask you real quick on that. Hey, did that dude while he was in there, did that Bobcat take a shit in there?
No, there was no fecal matter in there. Much as I wish there was no fecal matter in there.
That's crazy. So I gotta say, so like it didn't I don't necessarily have like a crazy animal story that resonates, but you mentioned my hometown, and I do have one story from my hometown I'd like to share.
Okay.
It involves the police.
The Popo. 5-0.
So here it was. I was working at the local newspaper at the time, and the newspapers, they would deliver the newspapers to the route guys, the paper route boys, pretty early in the morning. And when I was there,
you said you're working for the newspaper?
Yes, I was working for the newspaper, and my job was to take the newspapers from the newspaper company and go around, deliver them to these paper boys' house so they could wake up, deliver their route, and make it to school or work or whatever they have at that time. Okay. So that was my job. So I'm driving around at like, I don't know, 3 a.m. or something, ass early.
Yeah.
On a Saturday. And I'm coming through, and I got a stop sign or a stop light, and I make my stop, and there's a police officer behind me, no problem. He's going wherever he's going. I'm going wherever I'm going.
Well, I mean, there's a certain amount of fucking nervousness that's involved with that, even if you're not doing anything wrong, right? Am I wrong when I say that, like, no matter how right you are in that moment, like, you're kind of nervous, right?
I don't really think at the very beginning of it I was at all nervous.
Okay.
I had no reason to be nervous. I wasn't breaking any laws. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't high. I was nothing. I was just going about my life.
Yeah.
So execute a left turn. And then it's one of these roads where the road is like shifted off from the other one. So in order to continue going the direction I go, I make an immediate left and immediate right.
Okay.
And I do so. And so does the police officer.
Oh, God.
And I'm looking in the mirror and I see him. I'm like, well, maybe I better get pulled over for something. Even still, I'm not sweating.
And this is like 3 a.m.?
Yeah, it's probably 3, maybe 2 in the morning. It is ass early. There's nobody else on the road. I live in a small town.
Okay.
So I'm driving a little bit further down the road, and I notice, dang, he's still following me. So I make another turn, and this is the first time I turn intentionally to move away from where the police officer was.
Like just to check to see if he's following you.
Exactly.
Like, is this guy following me or what?
So I make a right, and I go down this road. The name of the road was Cherry Street, and I'm going down that.
Like Terry Crews?
No, cherry, like the fruit. Oh. And sure enough, he makes the right as well and follows me some more. And I'm like, well, that's really weird. Okay, it's still possible he could be going just the same way that I'm going. So I drive a little further down the road, and there is a park on the side of this road with like a playground and everything. Mm-hmm. So I go ahead and I pull up to the parking stalls at the playground and park my car. And he drives on past me behind me. I see him go right behind me in my rear view mirror.
So he left you alone?
Well, so I thought, I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm just crazy. I'm just nuts. So I back out and continue to go in the direction I'm going to go to the next place that I'm headed. And now I'm behind the police officer, but he's like a block ahead of me. Well, of course, he must have saw me do this. So he pulls off on the side of the road, and I continue to drive on by.
So now you're playing this like hopscotch. I don't know what you call it. Like you guys are bounding together, right?
I guess so. Yeah. So he pulls off, and I drive past him, and he gets right in behind me. And I'm like, okay, well, if I didn't think he was following me before, I'm pretty sure he's following me now.
Yeah.
I mean, you just intentionally got back behind me.
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm driving, still not pulling me over. There's no lights. There's no siren. He's just driving. And I'm just driving. I'm like, well, I don't think I've broken any traffic laws. And if I had, why is he not pulling me over? What the hell is going on? So execute another left on the 19th Street. And I'm going down that way. And I'm like, I don't even know what to do at this point. Like, I mean, do I pull over?
I don't know. Like, do you just like, hey man, like, listen, we've been doing this cat and mouse game for a while. Like, do you want to talk to me? Do you want to pull over? What's going on?
Yeah. So you know what I ended up doing?
What?
I called the police.
No.
Yep.
No. Wait. Hold on. You were playing this cat and mouse game with this guy.
I was not playing no game. I was just going.
You were trying to go where you were going, and he keeps fucking following you. You follow him. There's this like, so you decided to take upon yourself to literally call the police.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
As it would turn out, just for a little bit of the full story, he is not a police officer. He's a sheriff's deputy.
I don't know the difference really.
And there's not a lot of discernible difference to you or I. Like still a law enforcement officer, obviously.
But are they real cops? Like, I don't understand.
Is he a real cop?
Like, what's the difference? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, he can arrest you or write you tickets or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I guess.
So I go ahead and I continue on driving, and I call the police, and I'm like, well, I feel like I'm risking something here because now I'm using my phone while I'm driving. But I go ahead and do it anyway. And I call the police and I ask them, like, hey, I have this police officer who's been following me. And of course, what do they tell me? Oh, well, maybe he's just going the same direction you are. And I try to explain to him how, well, that can't be true because I pulled off on the side of the road. He passed me. Yeah. Then I got back on the road and he got right in behind me again. That's not him following me.
Yeah, no, I got you.
And the dispatcher, this still grinds my gears to this day. They explain, well, you know what, you just kind of have to just deal with that. He's not doing anything wrong. And God. And I'm like, well, if I were following somebody, wouldn't the police be able to stop me and ask me what's going on and what's the story on that?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, yeah, that would be a little different, and because he's a sheriff's deputy. I'm like, well, excuse me here, dispatcher person. It sounds like you're explaining to me that this police officer is above the law, and I kid you not, the response was, well, in a lot of ways, he is.
You fucking piece of shit, dude. Are you serious?
They're not legally allowed to stalk somebody. If you have an infraction, you pull me over. You don't just follow me around.
No. You don't just get to do that.
And so I'm like, well, I don't know what to do here. What should I do? And they're like, well, would you like us to contact this officer?
Like communicate with him, right?
And have him stop and talk to you somewhere? I'm like, well, I guess. So I'm coming up on a McDonald's and I pull into the parking lot, and a little bit late, and like just a moment later, he pulls in behind me, and I just step out of my car and I'm just standing there, just waiting for him.
Yeah, with your crack pipes probably fell out of your pocket at that point, right?
What's that now?
Your crack pipes probably fell out of your pocket when you stepped out of the vehicle.
No crack pipes. No, I had nothing to be worried about. I really felt I did nothing illegal. Yeah. And he pulls in next to me and parks his car and gets out, and he speaks with me. And
was he cool? Was he a cool looking cop or no? Was he one of those fat piece of shit?
He's a fat piece of shit, for the record.
God damn it.
Yeah, so he gets out, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? Why are you following me around? Did I break the law? And
yeah, like, what the fuck?
Of course, then he goes ahead and tells me, so that first left hand, like 3.5 miles prior.
Oh my God.
You went a little bit wide on that left hand turn. So that's an indication that you might be drunk driving.
Okay, so in 3.5 miles, you weren't able to use some deductive reasoning or any sort of common sense to realize I am drunk driving or I'm not?
And I'm like, and I asked him, like, so you just followed me for however long this was? And I went back and kind of measured it out. It'd be about 3.5 miles. And he's like, yeah, I've been known to follow other people for, 12 or 15 miles across the county to see if they're like, you're admitting to what is completely illegal. You cannot do that. I cannot believe what's happening. And you got to realize too, this was back before like cell phone videos of police officers are a huge thing and stuff like that. This is, I got to say probably 2003.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. Probably 20 years ago this happened.
What I heard him say was, or what I would interpret that as, Justin, is, so you've been known to be a stalker.
Yeah. So you've been known to be a complete piece of shit. And, actually, I've read up on court cases being thrown out where a police officer followed a person, the person made a traffic infraction, and they pulled him over, gave him a ticket, and then they have been thrown out because it's been proven that having a police officer follow you is a stressful event and could cause you to make some type of mistake behind the wheel.
Oh, it is. Even if you're doing nothing wrong. I think we could both agree on that. Even if you're doing nothing wrong, it's like, come on, man. What's going on? But most of the times police are following me. I'm doing something wrong. But continue.
Well, that's about the end of it. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, can I see your license? And I'm like,
sure.
I guess so. I wish I would have said no at the time, but I guess
one
so.
of those know your rights thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you haven't broken the law or you're not being detained for a crime or a city ordinance, then you shouldn't have to show your identification. But so I show him my ID, and I'm sure he runs my ID, and I don't have any outstanding warrants, blah blah blah. So kind of just says, "All right, well, have a great day," and I'm like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!"
And that's it.
That's the end of the story.
All that stress for nothing.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. I don't know about you, like, the whole, like, without getting too political, right? The whole, like, cops, situation and story. I think the best way to put this is, I think we've all, probably a majority of us and our listeners, have had some bad experience with the cops, right?
Yeah.
And I think probably equally as much as that is we've had some good experiences with cops where they've been helpful and stuff like that.
I think so, yeah.
But I think what happens is, and I think this relates to a lot in any situation in life, right? So what I'm telling you is what I think a lot of people, what happens no matter what the situation is, I think it's a normal reaction to always remember the bad times over the good times, right? It's a lot easier to realize all the shitty things someone did to you and overlook all the good things that someone did to you, right? That's
probably true.
I think that's a very common thing that a lot of people do. And I think that's something that maybe we need to get away from and whatnot. But, when you're in a situation and you're in a position of authority and power as a cop would be, it's a little different. And being an innocent bystander or just a civilian, it's very different to be on the receiving end of something like that in a situation and be able to not kind of look for some sort of defense in your eyes and whatnot.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Like, I know that there's been a time or two that where I've, had the police come and solve some problem, or they'll respond to accidents or car wrecks or just anything, and they'll come in and they're there to help you out in those instances. But yeah, I think I'm not going to pretend it's an easy job to deal with people who are having some type of emergency, or even if you got some guy dead to rights and they've broke the law and either it was speeding or, beating someone up or whatever it is, they're probably not going to be happy that you're dealing with them.
No, there has to be a certain sense of you just said, it's probably not an easy job. And I don't think it is an easy job at all. I'm not chalking it up to just being like, oh, your job's easy, but there has to be some sort of nervousness that's involved with, hey, what happens when I pull this guy over? What if he has a gun? What if he has this? What if I go domestic abuse, case and this guy's acting crazy? You could go home that night and you had the shit beat out of you, right? By some dude that just decided to get handsy and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm not downplaying the job and the role that the police officers play in today's society. But I do have to say that I think there's a certain amount of rights and a certain amount of I don't want to say prowess, but it's not called prowess or pause. A certain amount of decorum you should have as a civilian when being approached by a cop, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I do.
So, if you wouldn't mind, I have a story I'd like to share with you about an experience I had with a cop in my hometown. I think we both grew up in small little towns, right?
Yeah, I think mine was just a little bit bigger than yours. Actually, probably about double the size.
I think we had 1,700 people in my town.
Yours
completely.
Was teeny.
Yeah. We had one or two. We had one main stoplight in the center of town and then one blinking red light or orange light.
So go ahead and tell me the story. I'm excited to hear it.
So it actually, no, I got a question for you because I got two and I don't want to bore everybody with these stories, but I can either give you, they're both drug stories.
Oh, good.
I can either hit you with me getting 4 tickets with having a shit ton of drugs in the car, or I can hit you with the time that a police officer drove me to my drug dealer's house.
Oh, the second one.
Okay. So I was with my girlfriend at the time and she had some shitty Honda Accord. We're hanging out. It's a snowy, it's a snowy time of year, December. In upstate New York, the roads have a consistent level of snow on them throughout the year.
Upstate New York?
What?
Upstate New York?
Yeah.
Schenectady?
I literally... Fuck you. No. So they have it's almost like they have a perpetual little level, little layer of snow on them. For quite a long time. So we're driving in this Honda Accord, and we're going to pick up drugs for my buddy Brandon.
Actually, serious question on New York. Where you lived over there, was that over in the Syracuse area?
Oh,
is that northern?
I lived on the Delaware River, so I call it upstate. New York City, natives call it upstate. But when you look at the map and you talk to somebody like from like the border of New York and Canada, they say that's upstate, right? But we're not. I call it upstate.
And that would be like the Syracuse area, the more northern.
More northern. So I'm out there. We're driving, and I'm like, yo, let's go get an eighth of weed. Or actually, whatever the amount was. Let's go get an eighth of weed. We're in this car. We're driving. And now where I lived in New York, it was like a 45-minute drive to anywhere you wanted to go. It was from where I lived when I was living on the river. It was an hour and a half to the local mall. It was a half hour to the local Walmart. It was 10 minutes to your local. It was a minute and a half to your local, like, you would call like your little grocery store?
Sure.
But that grocery store was like a fucking stick of butter there was like, $10, where at Walmart you can get it for $1. Whoa. You know how it is in those small towns. You go to those convenience stores and little grocery stores. They're so much more expensive than the big name brand.
They can be, yeah.
So we're like going to my drug dealer's house. It's about 40 minutes away, but a beautiful drive. You follow the river the whole way, down 97, all the way down there. So we're driving, and me being this young douchebag, probably 18 at the time, who thought he could drive. Little did I know I knew nothing about driving. So we're driving. I come over this crest, and we're in this Honda car. I'm cresting this hill.
And are you in your older WRX at this point?
No, we're in the Honda Accord. My girlfriend at the time was Honda Accord.
Okay.
We crest this hill, and there's this douchebag in front of me that's doing like 10, 15 miles an hour. And now I'm like this big advocate on like there's almost like a sense of being too safe when driving where you can cause accidents and like keeping up pace of traffic.
Yes.
So he's going super slow and it's over a crest. So I go to, and this is all on me. I'm not asking for any sympathy. I mean, I'm a complete piece of shit in this moment. I passed this car in front of me on a double yellow line over a hill. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. Complete asshole, complete douchebag move. Young kid fucking up move. Like everything I did was wrong. That's all there is to it. Should have never done it. All my fault. 1000%. Crest this hill. Start passing him. Go in the left-hand lane. Start passing him. Then this truck is coming up. This fucking F-250 is coming up. We both lock brakes. He locks his brakes. Cut his wheel to the right. Now this little Honda Accord I'm in is going straight into the bed of his truck. So you know how there's that gap in trucks where it's like the bed to the ground. Like if I was to slide this Honda,
clearance? Like the ground clearance of the truck?
Yeah. Like if I slide this Honda into the bed of his truck, it might decapitate us.
Oh, Jesus.
Because of how tall. So I kind of like go left and hit his like front tire and stuff like this. And I hit his fucking front tire, crash into him. We fucking T-bomb like this. So if you look at my hand, like it went like this right into it. So I chose not to go into his bed because I felt like that was super like, super low. I felt like if I hit his front tire, take the brunt of that, we still get fucked up, whatever. Hit him, cool, whatever. Awesome, fun. Not good. I get out. I had my dog in the car. My girlfriend at the time actually stopped my dog.
You had your daughter in the car?
My dog.
Oh, dog.
Momo.
Okay.
My girlfriend at the time stopped him from flying through the windshield, put her arm out. Stopped him from flying through the windshield. Like all this is a bad situation. None of this I'm happy about.
Yeah.
Fucking almost flies through the windshield. She stops him. He's okay. Everyone's okay. I get out there. Oh my God, we got into an accident. Hey, it's my fault. Cop rolls up. Some dude I went to high school with. That's how tiny the fucking like police force was and the town was. He comes up to me. He's like, yo, dude, fuck you. What are you doing? Like, oh my God, you just did all this shit. What the fuck? I'm like, yeah, you're right. And he's like, well, is this your only car? I'm like, yeah, and I don't have service. Like our drive to that drug dealer's house, it's like a no service area for 40, 50 minutes at a time. Like we were in the middle of nowhere. So he's like, well, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to my buddy Brendan's house. And he's like,
he probably knows Brendan. You all grew up together.
He was like, Brendan Jones. And I was like, yeah. So me and my girlfriend at the time, the car gets towed. The wrecked car gets towed. Me and my girlfriend get in the police cruiser. And he radios over the radio, hey, doing a courtesy ride to Brendan Jones's house, right? So
now, let me ask you this. Did you at some point offer your girlfriend services to get out of any more trouble with this police officer.
Oh, like, hey, police officer, fuck my girlfriend?
Yeah.
No, I do my girlfriend. No one else does my girlfriend.
Okay.
You piece of shit.
Okay.
Also, no, like, I didn't offer him anything. You piece of shit. I think his name was like Brad Reimer or some weird gay ass shit. Whoever the fuck cares. So we get in the car. He says, I'm offering a courtesy ride to this scene of the accident, whatever. And he just starts driving. Instantly, I was like, I haven't given this cop like an address yet. I haven't given him any information at all. He's just driving, but he's going the right way. He knows. I told him the name of the guy and he's going the right way. And he winds up, and the guy who had bought drugs from was a very prominent drug dealer in the area at the time.
Oh.
And he drops me off in front of his house. He's like, all right, guys, stay safe. Have a good day. I go inside. We go in there, kind of like break down a little bit, like, oh my God, dude, like, I'm so sorry. He's like, yo, dude, smoke this blunt, chill out, relax. Let me make you some hot chocolate. You guys hang out. So we're sitting there smoking blunts. He's like, tell me about the accident like this. And I go there, I buy that half fucking ounce or that eighth, what I was going to buy. And he was like, I'm going to drive you home too. So we're smoking fucking up. He fucking brings me home. And yeah, who didn't dawn on me till after, like, this cop just knew this guy's address, knew where to go. I never give him any direction.
Maybe there's something more to explore there, but it's probably too late at this point.
I think they know.
Yeah.
So,
well, maybe he got himself a little bit of some Chiba or something like that on the side. You never really know. I mean, it wouldn't be the first police officer
that people do shit like that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first police officer who smoked a little bit of his own.
Nope.
All right, well, that's going to do us for this segment. We're going to come back at you again, and we're going to get some more interesting stories and some great conversation here on In Gear Podcast. Thank you guys. See you guys. Welcome back to In Gear. He's Tommy Three Nipples, and I'm Justin Giant Johnson.
One more than two.
You got that right. Hey, so let me throw you a little preview, listeners. We have a great episode coming up in what should be episode 10. We're excited to announce that if everything goes well, we're going to have Norm on the episode.
If the stars align.
Yes. And we're really excited for Norm. Me and him both respect the hell out of Norm. We love this guy. We used to actually work for him back in the day.
You know, also, he has a great voice too.
Oh, he's going to be a good voice to have on the show.
Voice.
He's going to have
a lot of having such a great voice.
He's going to have a lot of exciting stories. He's going to have a lot of good advice to give. We might go any different direction with that.
Yeah, it can go either way.
If you're a casual listener, if maybe you don't listen to every single episode, I'd say episode 10 is the one you want to tune in for.
Yeah, he's got a lot to offer. Yes. I would let me do one of these real quick, Justin. Look at me across the room.
I'm staring.
So he's going to be great. I think, he has a lot to offer, like you said. I think it'd be a lot of fun for everybody.
Yeah. Norm's going to be great.
Well, hit me with it.
I'm really excited to have him out here. I can't believe that we actually worked for this guy in Colorado. We just coincidentally happen to be out here at the same time in Hawaii. He happens
to swing on by.
Yeah. But that's enough about him. We'll definitely go ahead and bring him home in the next episode. Episode 10. 10th episode coming in. Yeah. We're here to stay.
I don't know, man. We kind of been working hard, knocking it out, but 10th episode's coming up quick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 2 episodes a week. That's 5 weeks.
Yes. So hit me with it. I know you got something in the chamber right now you want to talk about.
So get ready for this. Put your seatbelt on.
Wait, hold on. You see me?
Yeah, you're right there.
I'm clicking in right now. You hear this?
Yes.
Wow. I'm buckled up.
All right. So you're buckled. You're ready to rock. I wanted to hit on something, and I think you and I have opposing opinions on this issue.
Like most things, yes.
Yeah, like how gay you are.
Anyway, no, you're gay.
So there's no great way to say it. I'm just going to bring it in nice and loose. Hey.
Loose me up.
I'm pretty sure that the moon landing was authentic.
And Justin, I'm pretty sure the moon landing is a hoax and never fucking happened.
Okay, well, first of all, you're retarded. Second of all, go ahead and tell me. Go ahead, prepare yourself. Why do you think that?
The Van Allen radiation belt
first and foremost, the Van Allen radiation belt that would stop you from like traveling to the moon instantly. That's a thing. Like, tell me it's not.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What?
Yeah. So you're dumb. First of all. Second of all, the thing about the radiation belt. I saw this article on this, and they were saying like the reason that you're able to travel through it is similar to fire walking. So like when you're walking through a pit of hot coals, you obviously don't want to just stand there and let your feet cook. You move through it pretty quickly, and it doesn't burn you or roast you or nuke you or whatever it is.
So, okay, no.
Oh.
So what I've heard from multiple sources is that the Van Allen radiation belt would take almost like a 7-foot wall of thick lead for you to be able to survive like the radiation that you will incur going through the Van Allen radiation belt. And if you don't mind, let me quote a quick news source on the Van Allen radiation belt.
I dare you to.
So Bill Casing, along with a growing number of skeptics, questioned whether astronauts could survive traveling through the Van Allen radiation belt, a collection of charged particles gathering in placed by Earth's magnetic field. They claim that crosshairs in the astronauts' camera lenses used to help estimate size and distance appear behind objects in developed photographs that only happened in low-resolution copies in the originals. They claimed there were artificial sources of lighting that made no sense. Okay.
Oh, so you're moving on to other issues, though.
Well, they claim that the landing of the aircraft had no blast crater when it landed, and that's true. Like when they tested the crater that the blast, the radius, like when those fucking propulsion jet fucking engines would use to absorb the impact. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like,
I do. Yeah. So you obviously don't want to crash into the moon. You want to land.
No, you want to land soft. Like it left no crater. And that I don't know, man, like fucking the flag. Also, you get into the flag. The flag wasn't flapping in the wind.
And the flag was or was not flapping?
No, it wasn't. And you know that it wasn't. But I have a few different
things. Well, why would the flag flap in the wind? There's no wind.
No, I'm saying it was flapping.
Oh, now it was. Okay. So the thing about that is every video I've seen on it, I don't know, maybe you've got some crazy video I haven't seen, but every video I've seen on it, like he's in the middle of like mounting the flag to the pole and he's shaking it around every which way, trying to get it on there. So of course it's going to move around.
I don't know, man. Like we've talked about, there's as equally as amount of evidence to say we didn't land on the moon as there is evidence to say that we did land on the moon. It's one of those 50-50 things. And if you're going to take something that's as extraordinary as something as the moon landing and determine like, hey, we landed on there or we didn't, and you have 50-50% evidence that says we didn't and we did, that's like a bold move to like say like a lot of those moon landing people, as much as the people that like say we didn't land on the moon, a lot of people will be like, we did or we didn't. And like, where does the buck end? Or what's it called? Where's the buck stop? Where, like, there's that like phrase, fucking whatever the fuck it's called. Right. So like, did we land on the moon or did we didn't? And did we not? And like, there's equally as much evidence saying we didn't as there is evidence saying that we did.
Hey, listeners, go ahead and hit us up at ingearpodcast at gmail.com. Did we land on the moon? Go ahead and tell us your thoughts on that.
Well, I got a question for you too right now, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking the Soviet Union at the heat of the moment when it comes to the space race, because that was a big thing.
Yeah.
Was that space race.
Yes.
The Soviet Union was like here. It was top tier. It was like, I'm the Soviet Union. I'm about to land on the moon. And America's down here like, well, we haven't really done much. Like, we're not here. All of a sudden, the fucking Americans, the United States was like, America, and like jumped up and landed on the moon. We were going to lose the space race. So the Soviet Union was literally right there. They were ready to land. They had sent up monkeys. They have done like the whole fucking rocket testing. They were like on the verge of like being right there. And they knew it couldn't be done. That's why they didn't land there. All of a sudden, the United States is like, okay, cool. We're there now. We just landed. We won. You lost.
Yeah, that's really weird and all. Also, isn't it weird how like the Soviet Union itself doesn't deny the US ever went to the moon?
Well, I don't think there's really.
You'd think those guys, the ones who were in the space race with us, would be like, hey, fuckers, you didn't do that. But no, usually it's a bunch of privileged American guys who need to get a job that are always saying this.
Well, here's the thing, man. Russia launched the first successful satellite, Sputnik.
Sputnik.
You know about Sputnik.
No, I know
Everyone knows
Sputnik.
about Sputnik.
Me and Sputnik.
Yeah, they launched it, right?
Yep.
And then they launched the first man into space, Yuri Gagarin.
Okay.
Gagarin, whatever the fuck you want to call him, right?
Yeah.
And they landed a foreign object on the moon. But I feel like the greatest lie in history is that they fucking landed a human on the moon, right? It's easy enough to say we landed some sort of object on the moon, but to say and have, not competitive, but like solid evidence of somebody coming back to you and being like, hey, like right now, Justin, I could say like, hey man, I landed this over here. And like you could be like, oh yeah, it's cool. But like if I'm like, hey, I landed a human, someone who has a cognitive, like definitive consciousness, right?
Yes.
And be able to be like, hey, there is somebody that can come back and tell you, hey, we did this, right? It's a whole different ball game. So to land something as trivial as like an unmanned like fucking spacecraft on the moon, like that's cool and all. But I don't know. It's like I feel like I will drive through town and lose service underneath a fucking tunnel.
You will. It happens.
What is it? 1969, which would be 64 years ago now. They were talking to a man on the moon 64 years ago, but I still lose service on my phone going through a tunnel.
See, this is a problem too, because I know it's your goal and mine to be the first podcast to take place on the moon.
Yeah.
Which is going to be really difficult if we never landed there.
Fuck you. Yeah, sure. But I mean, like, what if like the first podcast in orbit?
We could be that. Space podcast, boys.
Here's the thing, man. Nazis, don't know if you know who they are.
I'm aware.
They certainly had an element in the moon landing in the sense that the Nazis were literally pioneers in the jet propulsion aircraft and rocketry. Like they were on the forefront. Like there's no denying that the Nazis at the time, like they are terrible people.
Oh,
there is nothing like you can really not say that like the Nazis were like great and they did all this stuff, but it's undeniable that Hitler and the Nazi regime had not provided us with, let's say, the Volkswagen. We're car guys, the Volkswagen, right?
Yeah.
And also that the Nazis and the Nazi regime were on the forefront of scientific advancements, medical advancements, and everything like that. In fact, the Nazis were the first people to be able to establish the correlation between cigarette smoke and lung cancer.
Is that
actually
right?
Nazi Germany was the first fucking place. Hitler was the first guy to outlaw smoking on public transportation because of the correlation that they made between nicotine, cigarette smoke, and public transport and secondhand smoke and all that.
Well, I don't think I would dare say that I agree with very many, if any, of Adolf Hitler's policies, but I think it's hard to disagree that he might be one of the greatest public speakers of all time. And hear me out on this.
Oh, he was great, dude. He was like a guy that like knew nothing about anything. Like, and like I'm like, for me, like I hope this doesn't like come off wrong way to you or anything like that, Justin. But like, I am 100% like I have to word this very like specifically, but I'm like 1,000% like, I don't want to say a Nazi fan, but how would you say this? Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Well, you're just a historian. You and I both love World War II history and all that stuff.
Oh, I fall asleep to like, World War II history every night, World War II in color, whatever it may be. But like being a guy like Hitler who started from nothing,
yeah, and
was able to go into bars, public town halls and stuff like that and rally all these people together and be able to establish this regime that people blindly followed in itself is an incredible feat of anything.
Well, I'd
right?
like you to consider this.
I'm listening.
Adolf Hitler was able to convince maybe millions of people, tens or hundreds of thousands anyway, that the superior race was a bunch of blonde-haired men, while he himself had brown hair.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. I think there's like that argument I said with you, with the cell phones and stuff like that. It's so simple. It's like, how could you deny it? But also the Nazi regime, like, it's so simple. Like, you know, the Aryan race, blonde hair, blue eyes, but he did not have that, right? So it's like, do you agree that's like on the same token as that? The same, not token, maybe like railroad track. What would you say?
I don't know what I would say to what you're saying.
But like on the same playing field, on the same level as that.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's we could do a full episode on Hitler or the Germans or any of that situation that went on.
You know, I grew up in a very controversial household. So, like, you know, my mother was like all for the moon
right, because when you grew up, like, you were like, Mom, Dad, why won't you attend my civil ceremony? And they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, of course. So, like, my mom was all like, you know, hey, we landed on the moon. My dad was all like, hey, we didn't. And so, like, I grew up on both ends of that spectrum, as in, hey, these are the opinions that are given to me from this side, and here's are these. And I had to listen to both, you know, sort of levels of the playing field. So, which has given me the opportunity to really like debunk, listen in, understand different levels and different conversations that have been given from both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, well, you know, you were talking earlier about the how is it I can go drive around and I lose signal on my cell phone here on Earth in 2023, as it would be. Whereas in 1969, they could hold communications with a capsule headed towards the moon.
Yeah. I mean, at the most basic level, that's kind of like a little weird, right?
Well, to that, I say, fuck you. Also,
why? Fuck you. No, fuck you.
Also, how hard do you think it is to go to the moon? Like, all you have to do is go up.
No, probably pretty hard, dude.
You just go up.
You're telling me my cell phone right now has twice the computing fucking processing ability than the giant supercomputers they were using back in 1969 to send a man to the moon.
Yes, many of the trajectories are done by hand on a piece of paper.
Do you understand how much level of error that's involved there? The level of like,
understand, Tom, that there are people out there, not like you or I, a couple of idiots speaking in a microphone. They are on a completely another planet as far as their intelligence.
Like, are you talking aliens?
No, like just regular old guys, but they have spent decades learning things.
Like, all they know is that
the level of math and trigonometry and geometry and thrust vectoring that they have learned about throughout the years is insane compared to what we know. We don't know anything.
Yeah. There is a certain amount of like agreements I have with that like, you know, it's like Joe Blow comes up to us, a hobo on the street comes up to us, and they're like, you know, hey, this is how an engine is supposed to be built.
Yeah.
And we're over here like, no, that's not how it is. Like, we have spent our lives doing that. Like, I kind of get that. But like, you know,
I think I would compare it to your car build. Well, something we've experienced a lot when we were both working on your Subaru STI, your 2017.
Or the Mazda.
The Audi. We don't know the most there is to know about cars, but we know a lot more than your average bear. And people would come up to us and they would start telling us, "Oh, do this, do that, blah blah blah."
And you have to say to them, we said to them multiple times, like, "Hey," they either come to us and they'd be like, "Hey, do this, do that," and we're like, "No,
you don't know what you're talking about.
No, we're not doing that. No,
you do not know what you're talking about." Exactly right. And of course, we've never built an engine. We've never done anything like that.
What? We never have?
I mean, we've built a already existing engine to make it bulletproof. We've never
we never
created a new engine.
Okay, I got that. But here's my other like question for you, and I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to like elaborate on this after I ask you this.
Do it.
Was Neil Armstrong's quote pre-planned? And you know the quote.
One small step for man.
One big step for
one
man.
Giant leap for mankind.
It is one of the most recognized and cited quotes in human history.
Yes.
But according to Neil Armstrong, he didn't formulate what he was going to say until after the lunar module Eagle landed on the surface of the moon. He was too busy landing on the moon to think of anything like cute or to utter once he got there.
Well, I'd say I might be able to agree with that.
That's a pretty formulated thing.
He's a little busy doing other things.
But I mean, that's like a pretty dope fucking saying, man. Like, and
are you saying
I might be
to me
grabbing
right
at
now?
Fucking straws here now, but like, that's like.
Are you saying to me right now that he couldn't have landed on the moon because he came up with a really great thing to say on the fly?
Do you understand that
we make a living at that right now?
The circumstances that revolved the moon landing was the news companies that were allotted the time and experience to go there and videotape the moon landing, right? So the way it was they had their main like nerve center, control center, right? Then in a separate room, they had a projector that projected onto a screen the live feed that was given to them from the space shuttle, from the moon landing, right? Now, if you look at all the accounts that came from the news companies that wanted to video record this and cast this and, document this, the circumstances involving that was way more than should have been done. So basically, there was a projector, it projected onto a screen, then there was a glass wall behind the projector or behind the screen, I'm sorry. And the circumstances revolving that was that these news companies had to set up a camera that videotaped the screen that was projecting onto a screen. It was like a 3-step thing. It was there's a lot of area in there that fucking like it's up to interpretation.
Well, I don't know if there's like some sort of jack they can plug into a VCR to get another type of image out of that. Maybe that's just the way to do it back then. I don't know.
So I remember like have you seen the old alien movie called Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind?
Don't even dare talk to me about Spielberg.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
So there is a child in that movie that wears the shirt that says like NASA or something.
Says NASA, that's correct.
Yeah. So do you understand that like the lead director on that movie was also like a lead consultant on the moon landing?
I actually did know that. That's just a fun piece of trivia.
Yeah, fun piece of trivia, right? So a lot of people would say that movie were like, Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind, that director and that like lead fucking producer guy, director, whatever it may be, that was his like token to everyone else. Like, hey, I had this kid wear this shirt because I also directed the moon landing. Like, do you also understand how easy it is to like, I don't know how to explain it.
Let me ask you then.
Well, no. Hold on. Let me ask you this. Hey, Justin, you see me?
I'm straight across from
Do you know how easy it would be to fake the moon landing? I mean, Mythbusters did it. Do you understand like how like easy it would be? Like right now,
are you out of your mind? First of all, Mythbusters busted the fact that it's conspiracy.
No,
go back and watch the episode.
They talked to me. It was like a funsies thing. Like they could bust it. Like it didn't.
They told you later.
Yeah, they told me later.
First of all, why don't we address this? What do you do about this piece of information? Why or how, if you're going to fake a moon landing, do you keep the many, 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 many people involved with the moon landing quiet? How do you do that? How do you keep all these people?
There is literally a fucking track record of people who are involved with the moon landing getting accidentally fucking shot or killed, dying in car accidents, stuff like that. There is a documented fucking thing where people have like lost their lives because they were involved with the moon landing.
To that, you know what I say?
What?
Pish posh.
Pish posh. Well, what about like fucking Neil Armstrong, dude? He was literally a civilian. And his fellow astronaut, Buzz Aldrin, to be the first human on the moon, like, Some speculated at the time that NASA chose Armstrong because he was a civilian. And he had flown missions during like the Korean War and stuff like that, but like not like Buzz Aldrin to do that. And he was no longer active duty and stuff like that. But the idea was that like a civilian stepping on the moon would show the world that like America's space program was not a mere military endeavor, but rather something for all mankind. Like he said in his quote, one step for like fucking mankind, whatever, one step for my wife that I was gonna have sex with, you know, all that, whatever the fuck the quote was, right?
What the fuck?
Like, so what do you say about that? Like, why choose a civilian compared to his fucking...
Well, this just wasn't just any random civilian. He's still a qualified individual. He kept himself in great shape. He was prior military. I'm sure he's a very educated and smart individual.
I don't know, man. Let's break it down to the American flag flapping in the breeze.
All right, hit me with the flag again.
Well, the moon doesn't have an atmosphere that could facilitate wind. So, like, why does the American flag appear to wave in the breeze?
All right, let me hit you with it. Every video I've seen of the American flag flapping in the breeze is during the time where whichever astronaut it was is trying to place it in the ground. So he's just shaking it around, trying to get it into the ground.
But there's no atmosphere. There's no wind to be able to, like...
It wouldn't matter if there's wind or not. If you're moving a flag attached to a pole absent of wind, the flag has to go.
So you're saying some of the inertia of the astronauts moving it into place caused that?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I don't know. I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Fuck you. How about that?
Apparently, because I'm like really shooting from the hip on a lot of this stuff. Because I believe a lot of this stuff. I'm a big non-moon landing thing. But I just pulled up. I typed in moon landing. And one of the next things that came up was this.
Okay.
It's going to throw you through a loop. So, like, you know, listen to this. You listen, Justin?
I'm right here. I haven't gone
Neil
anywhere.
Armstrong converted to Islam on the moon.
I don't even know how that's a thing.
Okay.
And what would that have to do with anything?
Here, let me give you a little excerpt from this. How do some of these myths even get started? Like this one. Some seriously believe that Neil Armstrong heard the Muslim call to prayer, the azan, on the moon. Those prayers must have been quite loud, since the moon is essentially in a vacuum that doesn't conduct sound. At any rate, the story goes that Armstrong converted to Islam after returning to Earth and kept quiet about it. As outlandish as this rumor may seem, there's a surprising amount of information on the internet about it. The rumors have only grown due to Armstrong being a relatively private person who rarely gave interviews. He never gave his own video game like Buzz Aldrin, and apparently, love of privacy equals so much to hide. There's nothing wrong with being Muslim, and Armstrong would be no less of a hero if he had converted. The simple fact is that the rumor is untrue. The U.S. State Department even set up interviews between Armstrong and journalists in the Middle East to refute the rumor. Still no video game that deal. Shame. So
I'm
what
not
do you
even
think
sure what difference it would make on the conspiracy, whether he was Muslim or not.
Do you not think that Islam was like the main perpetrator of us? Do you not think that like...
Let me ask
Justin,
you
I'm like slamming my hand down right now. Like, do you not understand that maybe like Islam had something to do with this?
No.
Do you not think this is like a big fucking issue perpetrated by like the big gov? Like,
let me ask you a question.
Well, ask you smelly crotched piece of shit. Ask me it.
Why? Who benefits from faking the moon landing and how?
America.
And how?
Showing Russia that we're big dicks.
Well, then why isn't Russia like, fuck you, you guys didn't land on the moon?
Well, they did say that.
No, Russia never come out and said it.
Say that.
You piece of shit. See, this is why nobody likes you.
It goes back to the space race fucking thing, dude. Russia was there. They were on the forefront, the Nazi Germany, all right? They were on the forefront of jet propulsion engines. They were there. They knew it. They knew they can get somebody up there, but they knew they couldn't return somebody. They knew it could have been done, but they couldn't return somebody alive. All of a sudden, America's like, hey, America, fuck yeah. And then now they're there. Now
Riddle me
they're like
this,
in
then.
it.
So if Russia sees us not go to the moon, because clearly we didn't, why?
It's a big kick in the balls.
Why did Russia not go, oh, yeah, you retarded Americans? Well, now we're going to go to the moon for real.
Who's not to say that there was a Russian aircraft on the moon before the Americans got there? Who was to say that there was a Russian aircraft on the moon before after the Americans got there?
You know, there is a conspiracy that I'm not sure you're aware of regarding the moon.
Oh, I think I'm like getting a little nipple twist taste of what you're saying, but go ahead.
Nazi Germany.
Tell me now. Tell me.
Late into the World War II conflict.
Okay.
The rumor surrounding it is that, and you're aware of this already, that in a lot of ways, the Germans had a lot of advanced technology.
Oh, they did. They were on the forefront.
And they evidently, according to this conspiracy, sent rockets, maybe even manned aircraft to the moon and tried to create an outpost on the moon.
Okay.
The conspiracy around this is, one, that it actually happened, and two, that the U.S. moon landing was in an effort to see what in the hell the Nazi Germans put up on the moon.
So do you think that just to clarify, what you just said was that like some of like the Germans, oh my God, the Germans were like, hey, like the Americans' like expedition to the moon was to see what the Germans had put on the moon?
Yes. Were there men on the moon? Were there equipment or missiles or anything? What did they do on the moon? And that was what they were trying to do up there, is investigate what they were trying to accomplish on the moon.
I'd rather believe that the Germans got to the moon rather than anybody than to believe that.
So you're willing to believe that in 1940s Germany, they were successful in getting something to the moon. And in 1960, practically 1970 United States, they could not.
When you bring it down like that, dude, it's pretty tough. I want to say like, yeah, dude, like we have to say like, there's no denying that the Germans' capability, like they had top tier scientists. They had they were on the forefront of the medical industry, the aeronautics space industry,
weaponry.
They were like, what?
Weaponry.
They're like the MG-42, dude, Hitler's buzzsaw. They were on the forefront of everything like that. So I'd rather chalk it up to, and like maybe this is just me being naive Thomas, right? And if you have anything to say, please somebody fucking chime in here.
Yes.
You shoot us an email in your podcast at gmail.com, shameless plug plugged in there, right?
Or you can comment on the video.
Your comment, something like that. Like, dude, like let us know. Like fucking I don't think it's crazy enough to understand that, like, or comprehend that, like, maybe Germany was on the forefront way before everybody else. I mean, they were like, you have to look at the Volkswagen, you have to look at the medical industry, you have to look at everything. Like, it sucks what happened.
When was the Volkswagen originally put into production? When did people start getting those vehicles?
Was it 1945? I mean, Hitler came to Dr. Porsche, who eventually went on to design the Porsche.
Of course.
And he said to the guy, like, hey, man, I want you to design this car. It's the Volkswagen. We're going to call it the people's car. It has to be a car that the regular fucking guys can work on, stuff like that. So, like, they were on the forefront of medical science, engineering, and stuff like that. So, is it, in your opinion, Justin, is it crazy enough to think that maybe the German people could have, like, landed on the moon first? Like, Russia, cool. Russia's out there doing its own thing. But then what about, like, fucking Germany and America? Like, if you take the big three, right? Russia, Germany, America, right?
At that time, of course, yes.
At that time, of course. Who do you think, if you were to, like, put it right now, a basic thing, is it America? Is it Germany? Or is it Russia? And I need an unbiased opinion from you right now. Germany, Russia, America. Who do you think has the best chance to get into the moon? Let's be honest.
I'm not sure I understand the question. So are we talking 1940s era Germany, America, and Russia?
Let's talk about the technology that was... Let's talk about Germany and Russia and America's technology in 1969. Okay. Out of the three, who do you think has the most scientific advantage to get to the moon at that time? Given Germany's forefront on everything like that, 20 years earlier.
Germany's out, first of all.
Why?
They just got defeated in a war. It took them decades to recover from that, dude. They were in financial difficulties and everything else. They didn't have a space program to speak of in the 60s. They're out.
Okay. So then you get to Russia and the United States.
Russia and the United States. And then the space race, everybody would probably agree with me, really kind of transformed into what would be the Cold War all the way up through the 80s.
Yeah.
So it didn't end with a moon landing, whether it happened or not. Like this technology war and this information war and espionage war carried on into the 80s.
Okay. So what's your answer?
The answer is the United States. The answer is the United States, man. I mean, look at things that are not related to any type of politics or warfare. Like the United States in the 90s and 2000s were breaking through with technological advancements with Microsoft and Apple and all this other stuff. Apple phones are all over the world right now. Now, a lot of the other countries have caught up. I mean, especially
supports that?
What's that?
Who supports those technological advancements that you speak of, right?
The countries, whichever it may be.
What country, right?
Well, I'm sure the United States in our case.
So you're telling me like every iPhone, Android, where the fuck it may be, is supported, and the technology that's involved with that is solely made and supplied by the United States?
No, I'm saying these.
So who would you say it's supplied by?
These technology companies that come up with it, people, again, much smarter than you or I, that come up with these cell phone microchips and programs and computer systems, they develop that mostly on their own from an individual technological point. They might, however, and I'm not sure on this whether it's happened or not, but they might, however, have some sort of subsidy or government funding that helps with their technological research.
I'm sure they do. So let's take an homage. I think like these are one of those situations that like I'm totally cool with us never agreeing on this.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, it's neither any skin off my nose or yours if either one of us is right or wrong.
Yeah, I think that's like one of those fun things. It's like, hey, we may never know who's right.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, which is totally fine. Nor do I care. But I do have to get your opinion on this because my father, whom I love very closely, and we are very sensual together.
He's probably listening to this episode.
He probably is because, you know, he's so gorgeous and young and he has such like a nice beard and stuff like that.
And he kicked our ass at darts when he had no business doing so.
No, he didn't have no business being our ass at darts or pool.
Oh, yeah, pool too.
Or like pussy slaying.
I don't know about that.
He probably slays. He probably slays. Regardless.
He's probably rocking that meat.
What?
He's probably pumping that meat.
Yeah, but what he told me once is like the greatest thing about the United States of America is that we are allowed to have these differences in opinions and not get punished for these differences. So me and you, Justin, we are allotted to have these differences and all these opinions. You may be wrong, I may be wrong, and you may be right, and I may be right.
Yeah.
But that's what makes America great.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it, and also I appreciate the conversation that we've had today.
Oh, it's been a good discussion.
I think it was a lot of fun. I honestly, I think this is one of those episodes that I think we both want to hear everything you guys have to say. Like, we are big conspiracy guys, and this is just the moon landing is just one of the 10s, 20s.
Oh, I think we could bring some other ideas to the table and argue those.
God, yeah, dude. Yeah, fuck yeah. So, but we do appreciate everything you guys do. Everything you guys are listening, the opinions you guys give us, and reach out to us at ingearpodcast.com. Comment on videos.
Or ingearpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, or wait, what did I say?
You said ingearpodcast.com. It'd be nice if we had that handle. I don't think we do.
Wait, Gmail what?
Jesus God.
Yeah, there you go. Or Twitter. We got Twitter, we got Instagram, we got Gmail, we got YouTube, whatever it may be. It's Ingear Podcast. Reach out to us and we'll reach up with you or reach out, or what would you say, Justin? Twist up to you?
Yeah, I guess you could say that if you're retarded.
Yeah.
But you could just say, yeah, like we really want to hear from you guys
Thank you.
on any of these subjects. We go back to our first segment, and maybe you got some crazy story that you'd like to share in a comment or an email.
Of course.
We'd love to read that on air, and it could be a longer email. It doesn't matter.
We don't care.
But we love to hear from our fans. We'll read you on air. It's awesome.
Well, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next week.